just now tuning in, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell. GMS fam, the green room. Let's review this. Yo, GMS fam, the green room. What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling? Happy Friday. Yes, it is Friday. It is time to enjoy the weekend. Hope everybody's week has been great. Hope everybody's doing good. You know, we start off every show with peace, love, positive energy, good vibes, passing it forward. Hoping that you pass it along as well, because we believe in that green mind state. Feeling good today, man. How's everybody feeling, man? How y'all doing, man? Appreciate y'all for pulling up. I see you, Aries, Baby G, Glittery Bubbles, King Lukey in the building. Yes. Let's get to it, man. We got to get to it. I wanted to talk about this since it came out, but I wanted to give it some time. You know, I wanted to give it a fair review, in my opinion. In my opinion, I needed to give it a fair review. You can never review something fully without actually watching the shit more than once. You know what I'm saying? You got to see things for what they are more than once. You know what I'm saying? I think you got to give things a fair chance. Now, what I'm talking about is, of course, as you see the title, the new series, the drama version of what we used to know as a popular 90s sitcom has now become Bel Air. What up, Queen Kels? And Bel Air is starring all brand new faces, same names, same place, but just different faces, and a drama twist to it. So we can't expect it to be what we were used to. And I can't lie. When it first started, let me change the beat, man. I'm gonna change the beat. I need more of a talking beat right now. When it first came out, first episode, I was like, yeah. Now I'm gonna go through episodes 1 through 5 because they've released 5 episodes so far. They're releasing an episode every Thursday. But I wanted to give it a chance because when I first saw the first episode, I was like, oh man, I feel like they may be doing a little too much. And I get it, you know, it's Philly. You know, Will rep Philly hard. You know what I'm saying? On and off the camera. So, you know, I feel like they really wanted to capture the love for Philly. But I feel like they were going a little too hard off the bat with just the different things that they were doing. But I get the way they were trying to do it. First, before we get into the episodes, before I review these episodes, I want y'all to see the cast of this show. So, of course, playing Will is Jabari Banks. Playing Uncle Phil, Philip Banks, is Adrian Holmes. Playing Vivian Banks, aka Aunt Viv, is Cassandra Freeman. Carlton Banks is played by Ali Charlatan. Hillary Banks is played by Coco Jones. Ashley Banks is played by Akira Akbar. Jimmy Akingbola, I think that's how you say his last name, is played or is portraying Jeffrey. Jazz is played by Jordan L. Jones, and Lisa is played by Simone Joy Jones. Okay, now just want you to see what these people look like and where it goes from there. Okay, now first episode, like I said, it started out a little rocky. I felt there were some corny parts. I felt like I was like, oh no, please don't do this to because it's like you're so used to what the Fresh Prince was. You're so used to the dynamic of that sitcom that it immediately throws you off that this is a drama style of what the Fresh Prince used to be. They still give the characters the same type of traits as the original cast of the Fresh Prince, like certain traits that they carry, but added new ones to these characters, which I'll explain in a little bit. Now, episode 1, trying to revamp Will into the character that we all fell in love with watching the Fresh Prince. They, of course, it's like him coming up in Philly, playing basketball for his school, doing great. He's the man out in Philly. Like I said, they're doing a little bit too extra when it came to the Philly shit, but I understand why they were going hard because of, like I said, Will, he reps Philly on and off the screen. That's his hometown. He loves it. They even had a cameo from Freeway. Shout out to Freeway, man. That dude is a legend. So they start off, of course, the first episode, Will balling. He's on the court doing his thing. He wins the game for his team. It's lit. Then they show the dynamic between him and his mother, which I love that part because we all know in the Fresh Prince, the dynamic between Will and Vi has always been a strong mother-son relationship. Like, he values his mother, he loves his mother, and he makes sure that he maintains a solid relationship with his mom. So in the show, you see the dynamic between them stay strong in the way that they interact with each other, how they talk to each other. And the conversation came up of Will doing some other things outside of Philly, and he was really stuck in his ways of being in Philadelphia, the place that he was raised, his hometown. He said he loves his hood. There's no other place he'd rather be. Now, with that said, it cut to a scene of him and his friend who was Ty. I don't know if you guys remember, there was an episode on The Fresh Prince where Will had a friend of his from Philly come and visit him who was Ty, who was played by Don Cheadle. And this is who this friend is being played. This is the portrayal of Ty right here. They're sitting back. They chilling on the block. They eating cheesesteaks. And all of a sudden, somebody walks up to him who they know. Now, this character is like the typical, hood character that they put in the movie in front of the dudes that's trying to do good and get out the hood. They'll bring the one guy from the hood that want to bring him down around him and shit. The guy that used to be on the shit that he was doing good, but his life turned to a path of fuckery when he decided to sell drugs and do fuck shit. That was the typical character that they pulled up on them. And they got into a little, back and forth with words. And long story short, we all know Will has an ego. And they maintain that part of the show. You couldn't have that without Will's ego. Kid challenged him to a basketball match later that night, and Will took it. What happened was, later that night, Will and his homeboy Ty pulled up with each other. Say, yo, we finna go, blah, 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 we finna do this shit. I ain't finna let this man punk me. I ain't finna let him, blah, 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 I ain't just going in. Ego, just burning him alive. He didn't want to let it go. He wanted to go play him. So now his friend Ty told him, hey, look, we gonna go down there, but I got this with us because I want us to protect ourselves. He showed Will a gun. He had a gun. Will was like, what you doing with a gun? We gotta make sure we make it home at night. We not going to the park with no regular motherfuckers. These are some street dudes. We gotta make sure we make it back. So they go to the court. They do they you know, they talking their shit. Then one of the head honchos of the block, real D-boy type motherfucker, walked up, started talking his shit. Basically, gave Will an ultimatum. He said, if you win, I'll throw you $2,000. But if you lose, you gotta work for me. Which means Will had the potential to end up like the person that first challenged him to this match in the first place. Another person with potential end up fucking his life up trying to chase $1 in the streets. Will was like, bet, because he had that much confidence in himself that he wasn't gonna lose. So much so that he even asked this person that goes by the name of Rashad. Remember the name Rashad? He said, hey, can you pay us in 20s? He was that confident, right? He was that confident. So, of course, they balled the fuck out. They beat the team. It was a 2-on-2, Will and his friend versus the dude that called him out and somebody else. They end up beating their ass by a lot. And what happened was, like the classic scene that brought Will to Bel Air in the first place, you know, the basketball to the head. The guy that lost threw the basketball and tried to throw it at Will, but it hit Rashad, the D-boy, the gangster. Hit him, and he turned around and said, who the fuck threw that at me? And then all of a sudden, this now I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like this part because it could have been played out better. The guy that threw the ball just like walked away. He didn't like run away. He didn't try to hide. He just walked away, and nobody said anything. And the dude immediately went at Will, and him and Will start going back and forth to the point where Will punched him, and now his friend is getting jumped, and Will remembers, oh, there's a gun in the backpack. He goes over to the backpack, takes the gun out, shoots it in the air, and now him and Rashad are now faced off with each other. Gun to Rashad's face. Rashad said, you better pull the trigger, because if you don't, I'ma smoke your dumb ass. Now, we all know, niggas that don't play that shit, they know if you pull out a gun, you better be prepared to use it, because the person on the other end of that is going to make sure he finished the job before you do. What up, I Lacey? Now, I believe they played this to the point where Will had to get into some type of trouble, so the police pulled up. That's when Will decided he was going to try to run, and that didn't work. They caught him, found the gun on him, brought him into jail, and then he got released from jail. And on the ride home, or on the ride from jail, his mom is letting him know that he cannot go back. He has to now leave and go to Bel Air to live with his rich uncle and aunt, his cousins, because now there is somebody that wants to take his life, aka Rashad. Now, I felt like they were making Will a little bit of a crybaby, because he did cry quite a bit in this first episode. But I had to remember, this is a drama. This is not a sitcom. This is a drama, not a sitcom. What up, Binky? Zen Master in the building as well. I had to remember that. And that's for the people that really, really love The Fresh Prince. You have to remember, if you're going to go and you're going to take the dive into watching this new revamped drama version, you have to remember, this is not a sitcom. This is a drama. And even though the characters still hold some traits, these are stories that they kind of compile and try to twist to make it into a drama. Now, this is when jazz comes into play. Now, for anybody that has seen this yet, and you've seen Jazz, you know he looks like a Diet Kendrick, Tupac, Lamar, Shakur. They casted this guy as Jazz, but I'm gonna say this, man. The guy that does play Jazz, I think his character is dope, and I think we're gonna see more dope things out of him in as the series progresses. Him and Will's relationship starts as basically he's the hood Uber. He picked up Will from the airport and dropped him off, and that's how him and Will got connected as friends. Now, Jeffrey, the guy that plays Jeffrey. Now, Jeffrey's character, we know Jeffrey as the butler. He cracks jokes. He's always throwing digs at people, throwing shade and all types of shit. He's like the master roaster out of the whole entire crew, right? So we know him to be fun loving and being joking and all types of shit and being the butler. But this version of Jeffrey, yo, I'm telling you, this may be the reason why y'all want to watch the Fresh Prince, this Bel Air. I keep wanting to call it Fresh Prince, but it's called Bel Air. I feel like, and I feel like he's ex-CIA. I feel like they made Jeffrey ex-CIA, and I'll explain why later. It's gonna be later episodes. You'll see what I mean. Because we're gonna go through 1 through 5. We're still on episode 1 right now. Every episode is almost about an hour, by the way. Now, they kept the dynamic of the first episode, like the original, where Will and Uncle Phil bump heads. You know what I'm saying? Like, he first comes there, it's like the vibe is off a little bit. He doesn't really get a warm welcome from Uncle Phil, and he doesn't really get a warm welcome from Carlton. He gets that warm welcome from Aunt Viv. Like, first of all, Aunt Viv's character, I love the fact that they casted this person to play Aunt Viv, because she carries the same warm and comforting traits as the original Aunt Viv. You know what I'm saying? She carries that elegance, that, you know, the way that she speaks, you know what I'm saying? The way that she carries herself. It's a lot of stuff that went into the dynamic of, you know, the original Aunt Viv. And I'm glad that they wanted to cast somebody off of the strength of who the original Aunt Viv was, and not try to do, because I love both the Aunt Vivs. You know what I'm saying? I don't pick between the two. I love both of them. But the original one had more of a, I don't know, she had more of the shit to her. Like, she had more of it. But they did a little too much trying to revamp the classic crying scene with Will. You know what Will did about his dad. I know y'all remember that shit. That was like the most classic scene out of Fresh Prince, period. That was probably the most dynamic scene out of the entire Fresh Prince season, series, whatever. That scene where Will was talking about his father and he was crying, he was getting choked up and he couldn't really get the words out, but he was saying what he had to say, and it ended with him crying in Uncle Phil's arms. That was a real moment. Uncle Phil wasn't acting when he was crying when he grabbed Will and hugged him. That was a really that he really grabbed Uncle Phil's soul with that. You could see it. Why? And anybody that's ever watched it, man, when Will got done saying his line, and that last line where he say, "How come he don't want me, man?" and they put the camera on Uncle Phil, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. That was a real face. That was a real emotion. Those were real tears. Uncle Phil's face was red. It was red. He didn't know what. He's like, holy shit. That man probably saw the future flash before his eyes. Like, this man is about to do some incredible things in life. Because if anybody's ever heard Will tell the story, he talks about how when Uncle Phil grabbed him, or when James Avery grabbed him at the end of that scene and hugged him, he said, "Now that's fucking acting." That's how you know. He got the stamp of approval that day. And the reason why I wanted to explain it that way is because I realized they tried to like sort of remake that in the first episode, and it didn't have the same feeling at all. When I speak of the original, I'm talking about the first Aunt Viv. The original is the first Aunt Viv. And when I speak on the original Fresh Prince, I'm speaking on the 90s sitcom. And when I speak on Bel Air, I'm talking about the new shit. But they tried to do that. It didn't really work. That's what kind of threw me off. It was like, bro, that's corny as fuck. Y'all supposed to separate this. Y'all supposed to have a whole different episode for this. Y'all not supposed to throw this in the first. Y'all not supposed to do all. That's when it felt like they were going to do too much. But I was like, you know what? Let me keep watching. Let me not dismiss this shit. Now, this is when it started pissing me off more because Carlton's character, man, this guy, the original Carlton in Fresh Prince, right? He would annoy you. He'd pick at you. You get bothered sometimes. He'll do some shit that'd be like, oh my God. But he still had a humorous side to him. He still had a likable side to him. You could still like Carlton. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could get annoyed. You can be like, this nigga corny. You could be like, oh my God, he be acting like this. But you still was able to like Carlton to some degree. This Carlton, there's absolutely nothing to like about this guy. Now, I have a feeling they're going to set it up to where, of course, everybody hates him off the bat, and then they find out some really sad shit about his personal life, like he's going through some type of mental issues, and, you know, they already pinpointed the fact that he has, like, that he goes through anxiety and stuff like that. So I know we're going to find out more about the background of Carlton, and, of course, they're letting us see the uptight, snarky, vindictive, just backstabbing ass version of Carlton right now to get people to hate him, because that's usually what they'll do. They'll make you hate somebody really, really, really bad at first, and then they'll tell the story about them and try to make you feel empathy for them. And I think that's what's gonna happen later on. But there was a scene, right, where Carlton told Will to meet him in the locker room. Now let me tell you why this pissed me off. Carlton's already showing off his Uncle Tom coonish ways, right? He tells Will, he said, hey man, meet me in the locker room later, you know what I'm saying? I'll introduce you to the fellas. Will goes to the locker room to meet the fellas, right? Will is greeted to the sounds of Bobby Shmurda, Hot Nigga, playing, with a group of white dudes saying, hot nigga. Then I gotta take that with some hot nigga. Baba baby some hot nigga. And Carlton doing the shmoney dance in the middle of them. I almost lost my shit when I saw that. Will's looking at, Will broke the whole shit up. He said, whoa, yo. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck, you turn that shit off. You can't say nigga. And then the white dude stepped down and got cocky as hell, like, who says I can't say? And then Carlton jumped in like, Will, back the fuck off. And I said, yo. Will was like, yo, you gonna co-sign this shit? Carlton just stared him down. He's like, man, you a sucker. I said, yo, there's no fucking way this just happened. I swear to you, this actually happened in the show. I'm not playing. So I was like, all right, Carlton a bitch. Carlton is a bitch. And even when it's further as to go on later while they got to the house to try to defend the point, talking about kiss my rich black ass, Will. But guess what? I know some of y'all haven't seen the show yet. This spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I know this is going to make you want to watch it though. After you get done hearing this review, I'm telling you, don't go nowhere. Stay right here. For those that haven't watched it and you interested in hearing about it, this going to make you want to watch it. Carlton got caught doing blow. That's right. He hits the ski slopes. He rides the white pines. He sniffs the precise powder. And he was caught by Will in the act. This man was jamming to some motherfucking techno music or some shit and got caught doing a bump. That's right. Carlton is a bump fanatic. The booger sugar. Now, listen to this. They had to go to a party that night. This is the ending of episode 1, by the way. They go to a party that night. They let bygones be bygones for the night. Now, Will's pushing up on Lisa. I forgot to mention, Lisa comes along. Will meets Lisa, and they hit it off right away. Now, you could tell there was something between Lisa and Carlton at some point because the way that Carlton introduced himself when Lisa was talking to Will in the backyard of the crib, you can tell there was something that used to be there. Now, you find out that used to be, or Lisa used to be Carlton's ex at some point. Or they used to be together at some point. That's his ex. But her and Will are getting more familiar. Now, at this party, Carlton is doing a bunch of bumps off the bar, and they having a conversation with the white dude named Connor who was dropping a bunch of M-bombs on Bobby Shmurda. And then he said, yeah, he basically hyped up Carlton to the point where Carlton turned around and he seen Will smooching on Lisa. And he went into a booger sugar rage. And he ran across that motherfucker, got on top of that stage, and he tried to kill Will. He tried to kill Will. He pushed Will into the pool. Will can't swim, so he started to sink to the bottom. But luckily enough, Lisa is a professional swimmer. She's also on the swim team at fucking Bel Air Academy, so she jumped in there with her motherfucking Nike dunks on, and she grabbed Will. She brought him back to the surface. As Will came back to the surface with some water in his lungs, trying to catch his breath, with Lisa trying to make sure he was okay, this bitch ass nigga Carlton decided to say, he's okay, Lisa. He's just doing it to make you check on it and make you feel bad. So Will got up, started walking towards Carlton, and the white boy named Connor came into the fucking picture, tried to say some shit, tried to stop Will. Will knocked his ass out, and then he walked up to Carlton and then he knocked his ass out. And then episode 1 ends. So after me feeling some type of way during the beginning, I was like, all right, this is getting interesting. I can't front. This is getting interesting. Let me check out episode 2 to see how this goes. I want to see how this unfolds, because we've seen Carlton and Will tussle on the Fresh Prince before, but it usually was a bunch of comedy, just funny ass fighting and shit, just looking goofy as hell. These niggas was scrapping. They was fighting like they didn't know each other. Lisa is thick in this series. She isn't all petite like Nia Long was. That's right. They actually let Lisa have some meat on her bones. Same with Aunt Viv. And same with Hillary. It's a new generation. You got to do it the right way. That episode 2 comes around, and this is where we start to see certain people catch the tone in the show. So the first one obviously was to highlight everything going on with Will. Second episode, right? Aunt Viv sets the tone. She let Carlton know he was in the wrong without saying it because he's a sensitive little Nigerian baby. Right? He didn't understand, or he wasn't trying to take fault in what happened. It's something about Carlton that just makes me hate him, and that's really one of the things right there too. After he did what he did, he didn't see his wrongs in it. As a matter of fact, he was telling Will to apologize to him for beating him up on camera because it went viral. The shit was on video and everybody saw Will beating up him and his white savior buddy. Now, one thing I do love is that they kept the dynamic of black love and understanding, critical thinking between Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, because they had the conversation of all the things that are going on right now in their environment. Taking in Will and then having all these things happen right away when Will comes, disrupting everything that's happening. Uncle Phil is on a campaign right now. He doesn't want to lose the campaign off of some shit that's going on with his family. Him and Aunt Viv having a conversation, but they don't go to fighting. They don't go to arguing. They don't go into yelling and shouting. What they did was talk about the situation, come to an understanding. See, Uncle Phil was losing hope. He was losing hope in Will with all the things that were going on that involved Will. But Aunt Viv was fighting for him and letting him know that there's still hope for Will. There's still a chance. And they kept that dynamic. So Will got a call from his friend, right? He got a call right after that conversation. He got a call that his friend Ty got shot. His homie Ty the one that I was telling you guys about in the beginning. Ty got shot because he got found by one of Rashad's guys. Will breaks down. He doesn't know what to do. So at this point, he tried to. So at this point, you know, Will's on edge, and Carlton is still mad about the fact that he got punched in his fucking face. So Carlton didn't understand where he was wrong. He tried to equate Will saying nigga to his white friend Connor. Basically, Will said nigga in the conversation while talking to Carlton, and Carlton said, "Oh, you can say nigga, but Connor can't." Yes, I can. I'm a black man. Connor's white. You should know this, Carlton. He's one of those it's just a word guys. Now, I understand it to a certain extent. I know some people feel that way. It's just a word. Don't let it bother you. But nigga, fuck that. You can't say it. Don't say it in my presence. We will have a problem. When Carlton said, "These are my people," in a room full of white people, I knew I would never like him, because even the original Carlton would have never said that type of shit. Matter of fact, Carlton schooled an all-black frat for trying to denounce him as a black person because of where he came from and what he stood for. Carlton didn't escape his blackness on the original Fresh Prince, no matter how corny he was. This new Carlton, I cannot fuck with. He was in a room full of students, majority white, and he told Will, "These are my people." You're right, the caucasity. Now, to move away from him, they pinpoint issues with a wealthy black man trying to relate to the struggling black man and woman, because they had a scene on this show where Uncle Phil had to go to Big Boy Radio and do an interview. And during that interview, people called in and said things like, "Can you say Black Lives Matter? Can you do this?" And asking them like the hard-hitting questions, the tough questions that usually politicians would run from. And he saw that, you know, they basically displayed how our people act towards other successful black people who don't necessarily either give back to the hood or do something to try to help fix the problems in the hood or speak on the things that are going on in black communities, period. Not just the hood, because black people just don't live in the hood, but black communities, period. Now, Will, he joins the basketball team, or wants to try out for the basketball team. With all the trouble and everything going on, he really has to prove himself. Now, this episode, they really target the talents of Hillary and her strong points. Now, everybody knows Hillary was real ditzy. We'll say it. Hillary was she was dumb. in The Fresh Prince. But she kept a humor about herself, and she also was funny in the show. She wasn't just like annoyingly dumb and then that's it. No, she was still humorous in the show, and she still had very funny moments in the show. There wouldn't be a full Fresh Prince without every component, meaning every single cast member. But this Hillary, they made sure not to make her look like a fucking ditz. They didn't make her look stupid. They made sure that they pinpointed the fact that she had strong points and that she had talents and that she actually had potential to do something with her life and not be confined to her mom and dad's house for the rest of her life trying to live off their money. They made sure to make this Hillary want something for herself. And I like that. So what they do is they make her part of the culinary industry. So she's a cook. She cooks things. She's really great at cooking really great meals, plating them, all this, great culinary shit. What happened was she was denied an opportunity because her food was too spicy for the white people she was giving it to, and also her wardrobe was too, I guess, revealing. Now, they didn't make it out to be a denial. They made it so that they can tell her she needed to change what she was doing to be accepted into their culinary arts institution or wherever. And she wasn't bending. She wasn't folding for that. She didn't want that. She wanted to maintain her integrity. She wanted to maintain her recipe. She wanted to maintain what she wanted to do with her career. She didn't want to change her recipe. She didn't want to change her style. She didn't bend and she didn't fold. And that's when her and her mom got into it. Her mom didn't really like that because her mom had to pull strings and pull favors to get her an interview with these people, to only find out that she didn't take it. But she had good reason not to take it. Now, remember I told you about the punk ass white boy named Connor who was rapping Bobby Shmurda, dropping hella N-bombs? Well, he stopped Will on the way out of school and said, "Look at this, Will. I have a motherfucking restraining order on you. You can't come within 10 feet of me, motherfucker. It is now in effect." And then here comes punk ass Carlton talking about some, "Yeah, Will. Now you want to fight me when I'm not drunk, huh?" Now he knows Will can't do anything or Will's going to be shipped back to Philly. But he made sure to call Will out in front of all these people in the courtyard of the school to try to make him look like a bitch on purpose, because Carlton is a conniving little backstabbing little punk ass motherfucker, man. And it doesn't stop there. It still gets worse. Now, remember I told you Aunt Viv didn't like what was going on with Hillary? They had a conversation. Aunt Viv didn't understand why Hillary didn't want to accept the job offer as a top culinary influencer. Aunt Viv and Hillary don't see eye to eye. This is the dynamic sometimes that we see a lot in the community, not even just the black community, but just a mother and daughter dynamic, period. You know what I'm saying? Where they don't see eye to eye, especially when they get older and the daughter wants to go off and do things for herself, and the mother, wants what's best for her daughter, but her daughter doesn't really want to see eye to eye with the ideas that her mom has for her. This is the type of dynamic that they kind of start off with. Now, Lisa came to try and talk some sense into Carlton because she noticed he was spiraling out of control on that booger sugar, but he wouldn't listen. He said he didn't need the advice. So what happened was Carlton walked away with a little bit of pot on his nose and let it be what it be. That was it. But he still didn't take heed to what she was saying because, there was rumors going around of her, or he didn't like the fact that the truth about what happened that night with him and Will and the fight that happened, he didn't like the truth that it was his fault because he had a reputation to keep amongst the whites at Bel Air Academy. But as we move forward, Hillary went viral. See, what they did with this Hillary is they put her on IG Live. So now she has an IG. She's on there talking, telling people what's happening. She has followers and all types of shit. So when she went on there to let them know that the place that was trying to give her the job was discriminating against her over her food and the way that she looked, and discriminating against her and her family, because what they said was her family wasn't the demographic of people they were looking for. See, you want to use a black woman, but then you want to go back and say you don't want to appeal to the demographic of black people. You just want to use her for her culinary skills. So what she said went viral. Now, this is the fucked up part. Remember Connor? Of course you remember Connor. He's the N-bomb dropping son of a bitch. Will, he's doing great. He's looking cool. He just, matter of fact, everybody around the school is loving Will because he made the team. He's the man around campus. He's becoming the man around campus. So as he's walking out, after he made the team, right? He went into the locker room. He took an ice bath, right? Which means you put your shit in the locker, you take an ice bath, and then you get out. So Will's walking, he got his backpack. He randomly gets approached by campus security. And security goes, "Will Smith, let me search your bag." And Will was like, "What? Hell no." He's like, "Let me search your bag right now." And Will was like, "Bro, what the fuck?" He's like, "You know what? Just search my shit. Hey, I ain't got nothing. What the fuck? Just search it." He gave him his bag. He opened up the bag, and there was some white substances in his bag. A little baggie with some white in there. Will was like, "What the fuck? That's not mine." And Carlton sees what's going on. Carlton looks like, and you could tell Carlton doesn't know what's going on, but he doesn't say nothing. So Will gets taken into the school by the security, and then Connor, the white boy, walks up to Carlton and says, "Told you I'd get him." Now, what would you do as somebody who is your friend just walked up and framed your cousin and possibly is going to ruin their life for some shit that you did that I had no idea that you did? So now Will is caught up, and that's where it ends episode 2. When Will is in detention now, and he has to serve time in school because they found drugs on him. Now, episode 3 starts with interrogations. Of course, Aunt Viv, Uncle Phil is tearing in their ass. Pause. They're interrogating both of them. They're going back and forth. Will, Carlton, who did it? I don't know who did it. Somebody had to frame me. Carlton, I don't know who did it. I didn't do it. Connor couldn't have did it because Connor's a good person, and he was taking up for the dude he knew did it. Carlton's such a bitch, bro. He's such a bitch. He's taking up for the dude that he knew did it, telling his parents that nobody, he's like, well, you know, the school actually doesn't have respect for Will because of what he did to me, assaulting me at the party. Do you know how fucking crazy you sound right now? So Will figures out it must have been Connor or Carlton. But then he goes to Connor to let, now Carlton being scared of what the consequences may be because this could blow back on him. He goes up to Connor and he's like, "Hey, it's inevitable that they're gonna find out who did this. My dad's a lawyer. He's a judge. He makes certain he's made everything. He's put 5 so-and-sos in prison. He's burning down the fucking credentials." He was like, "And my mom, you don't want to fuck with a black mom. They're gonna find out what happened. So we need to free Will." But Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil was already on top of it. What they did was already went to the office to talk to the head of the school. And the head of the school already had Will as guilty just because they found drugs in his bag. Aunt Viv got him with the good detective work. She said, "I saw about XYZ cameras when I walked, about 15 cameras by the time I walked to this office. Did y'all check the cameras to see if anybody planted anything on Will?" He said, let's She said, "You didn't check the fucking cameras?" Well, she was pissed. So when that happened, they did what they had to do, and they got Will up out of that jam because the investigation is now pending. They can't just say that Will is guilty because they didn't go to the cameras. That's what happens when you got a judge and a lawyer and a motherfucking black mama on your side. Well, black auntie on your side. Now, Will was found not guilty, and they proved the drugs were planted, but nobody wanted to make it public because of who planted the drugs. They wanted to keep it quiet. They wanted Will to remain somebody who was looked at as a fucking drug snorting hooligan from Philly. But the fact that he was found not guilty, he was able to still be a part of the basketball team. And we appreciate that part. Now, this was the episode I realized Uncle Phil and Jeffrey have a different type of relationship opposed to the version that they had of Fresh Prince. Now, you know that their relationship was tit for tat. Jeffrey was always making fat jokes. Uncle Phil was always giving Jeffrey a hard time, but they had a funny dynamic, man. You could tell those dudes had a strong bond. This type of bond that they have is very strategic because they talk business together. Now, I don't remember too much in Fresh Prince back in the day of Uncle Phil and Jeffrey really speaking about business, but these guys speak on business like they're business partners. That's the dynamic I see between them two. They discuss business and they make moves together, but Jeffrey seems like he's ex-CIA or something like that. Now, we'll get back to that in a minute. Now, Uncle Phil starts to warm up to Will after feeling like he was a lost cause. Then Will gets a text from the man that wants to kill him, letting him know he knows where he's at. Will is visibly shaken. Will, Phil, and Carlton now he invited Will to a crawfish boil over at his old frat that Uncle Phil was a part of. They call him Yamacraw because that's where he's from. Classic Yamacraw shit when it comes to the Fresh Prince. All my OG Fresh Prince watchers, y'all know that Uncle Phil is from Yamacraw. Now, Will and Will, Uncle Phil, and Carlton, they go to a crawfish boil. That's being held by Uncle Phil's old friends of his frat. They give Phil a hard time because he is successful and he has to go and prove he's worthy of their endorsement by going to stomp the yard. He had to stomp the yard so what he wanted was to go there and get endorsed by some of his old friends that he went to college with. And they felt like he switched up on them once he got successful and wasn't there for him like he used to be. It's not, you know how people are. You know what happens when you start to become the real successful person out of the group of your friends or the people that you know, and people start feeling some type of way and they feel like you changed, but it's really the people around you that's changing. That's how it felt. But Uncle Phil needed that endorsement so bad. He needed the black community's vote, and he wanted it. He cared about it that much that he went and stomped the yard to get them to believe that he really meant what he meant. He really stood by his people. Now, we fast forward to the moment that Will has his first game. Now, him and Carlton both have a game. Now, this is the different dynamic from the Fresh Prince to the Bel Air. Now, we know Will and Carlton played on the same basketball team because Carlton was on the basketball team first. And then Will joined and Carlton got jealous because Will was really good and Carlton was trash, McAss. But see, the difference between this version is Will is on the basketball team and Carlton plays lacrosse. He's the man over on his lacrosse team. Now, knowing that he's been doing this shit forever, his parents been coming to his games forever, Will has his first basketball game on a team he just got on. And Uncle Phil, Aunt Viv, and Hillary decide to go to his game. Now, Carlton's pissed because, of course, he looks in the stands and don't see him. Right? Man, let me tell you something. Carlton is a loose fucking cannon. But we'll get back to him in a second. Let me tell you how great this game was. They paid homage. First of all, I have to talk about this because there was another legendary episode of The Fresh Prince where Will had to go up against Malibu Prep. And on Malibu Prep was somebody named Marcus Stokes. I believe that was his name. And he was being played by God, I forgot, man. He played in the fuck, man. What was his name? Somebody help me out. Damn, man. I forgot his name. But either way, I appreciate you, Joshua. Yeah, if you don't want no spoilers, don't watch this. Just watch it later after you get done. But I forgot his name, man. But either way, he was another version of Will. Grew up in the hood, but moved, or didn't even move. He went to school at Malibu Prep to get a better education and better opportunity at what he wanted to do. And the team that they were facing in Bel Air was Malibu Prep, and they had a character in there who basically portrayed Marcus Stokes, which was dope to see that they kept that dynamic, and it was a good game. They were going back and forth, you know what I'm saying? And then Will, what happened was, on the other side where Carlton was playing lacrosse, he's fucking up. Carlton's fucking up. He's doing all the shit wrong. He's blowing up. He's trying to fight players. He gets called out. The ref kicks him out the game. His Alan Payne, there we go, kicks him out the game. His coach tells him to go to the fucking locker room. He's pissed. He goes to the locker room. He fucking snorts some goddamn blow, and then he goes to the game and he sees Will just turned up, and he sees his family in there too. Yeah, go Will. And they get into the last seconds. They down by 2. Will ends up hitting a 3-pointer to fucking win the game, and it burned Carlton's soul. Now, episode ends with Will's nemesis finding out where he is. That's episode 3. Now, episode 4, we got 2 more episodes left. Episode 4, Will and Carlton are put up to the task to help Uncle Phil with his campaign. Now, this is where we get to see the shift, because Will and Carlton's relationship is there's no relationship. They basically hate each other. They already came to blows. They already fought each other. They already talked shit to each other, said fuck you, all type shit. They don't see eye to eye. So in an attempt to get them to bond in some type of way, Uncle Phil appoints them to go around and help him with his campaign. So they go door to door, encouraging people to vote for Philip Banks. Now, this is when Will decides to get a call, or Will is deciding to tell Jeffrey about his situation. Jeffrey is kind of playing the middleman of this situation. This is why I think Jeffrey is ex-CIA, but I'll get to that in a second. Will is worried his life is in danger because Rashad is connected in LA and he has money on Will's head. So Will, he's trying to stay careful of everything. Now, while Hillary is figuring out her next move, Aunt Viv is thinking about getting back into the space of creating art. Now, we all know that Aunt Viv I said Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv is very vibrant, very her charismatic. She's very artistic. And in this version of Bel Air, she's an artist. She paints very beautiful pictures. She has portraits up in her home that she's painted herself. So she wants to get back to creating art. That's going to be some prolific later on. But one thing I also want to point out in episode 4, they bring Jazz back, and he owns a record store. Same with the original Fresh Prince. So yeah, exactly. Ain't no such thing as ex-CIA. Once you're in, you're in. Hillary goes and meets Jazz at the record store. Now, the funny thing is, we all know the dynamic between Hillary and Jazz in the original Fresh Prince. She's inevitably repulsed. He's always trying to go after her. He don't quit. He don't stop. He's resilient. He's going to stop at nothing to get at Hillary, and Hillary is going to stop him with everything to get at her. But right off the bat in Bel Air, that is not the dynamic. What the dynamic is between Hillary and Jazz is they hit it off right away. And the interest with each other is mutual. Excuse me. She doesn't seem repulsed by him, but rather interested in him off the bat. We get a better look now into Jeffrey, into what he really does, because in this episode, like I said, after Will gave him or talked to him about a situation, he now is playing the middleman and trying to protect Will. So this is where we find out that Uncle Phil has paid, or you know what? We can't for sure say Uncle Phil, but I'm just going to say Uncle Phil and Jeffrey paid Rashad, the guy that's after Will, $10,000 to leave Will alone. Once Rashad found out how much money Uncle Phil really had, he called back with more demands. And this is what made me figure out who Jeffrey really is. Jeffrey went to meet up with somebody and let him know we already paid him $10,000, but he found out how much money our employer actually has, and he has requested more money. But we do not plan on paying him any more money. And then he rolled up his window and he left. That is going to be a very important piece to the end of this episode. Now, we start to get hints that Ashley might be into girls during the scene where her friend Lucia comes to skate to the skating rink that they were at. Yes, Ashley likes girls. This is the one thing that, and I see a lot of people having a problem with this because, of course, the original Ashley, we knew she had boyfriends to boyfriends and boyfriends and boyfriends all through the Fresh Prince. But people had, but this is a different version. And we already know what this culture is. We already know what generation we're in. I knew it was coming at some point. I personally thought it was going to be Carlton. Just by looking at his hairline, I said, oh yeah, they're going to make that nigga gay. But turns out it's Ashley. Ashley seems to be interested in girls. And we're going to get more of that in episode 5. Now, Will finds out Lisa's dad is the chief of police after speaking with him at the skating rink, which threw him off. You know, he gets a little PTSD when it comes to the police off of his situation that happened in Philly. Now, Uncle Phil had to speak at this event. Now, the skating rink wasn't just for them to go have fun. This was an event that Uncle Phil had to put together to help campaign and bring people together to talk about, you know what I'm saying, what he wants to do, his intentions. And what they did was make sure he didn't back down from any tough questions that anybody had from the community. And there was the police chief that I just got done mentioning, who is Lisa's dad, standing right there when somebody asked about defunding the police. And what Uncle Phil said was defunding the police is important. And the funds, millions of dollars that go to police departments should be going other places. And you know that's an unpopular opinion when you're in politics. People will easily shut you out when that happens. Now, they did a good job displaying speaking your truth, no matter if it's an unfavorable opinion. Fight for a cause. And we all know that Uncle Phil was a righteous man. At the end of the day, Uncle Phil was righteous. Uncle Phil made sure that he got shit done and that he made sure he thought of his people first. Uncle Phil was black first. He was rich as fuck, but he was black first. Now, Carlton and Will finally come to an understanding. You can see at the end of the scene, Carlton and Will was like, yo, we got to let bygones be bygones. They dapped it up. Hillary gets accepted into an influencer house because she's trying to, do her own thing. And she's tired of her mom. She's tired of Aunt Viv being on her back all the time and not supporting her for wanting to do what she needs to do. So she went around trying to get accepted into these influencer houses because, you know, that's the new thing. If you guys didn't know, what they call influencers, these people on Instagram and social media that have huge followings, they call them influencers. And now they have houses where a bunch of influencers go and make content and live there and just make content all day. She got accepted into an influencer house. Then, at the end of episode 4, remember what I told you about that scene with Jeffrey saying we don't intend on paying Rashad any more money, rolled up his window and drove off? Well, Will got a phone call from Trey, because Trey survived his gunshot wounds, by the way. And he let Trey know, hey, you coming to Los Angeles, you finna fly out this weekend, yeah. And Trey was like, yeah, hell yeah, I got some other good news. Guess what? Rashad is dead. I said, oh, this nigga Jeffrey got him yoked. That shit is crazy. Like, I said, yo, Jeffrey is different. Jeffrey is different. So now the person that wanted to get Will killed is now deceased. And we also have yet to know exactly how. Now, they said that he was gunned down in a strip club, but there was no details. When Will asked who pulled the trigger, Trey said, it doesn't matter, man. Our problems are over. It's solved. We good. We don't need to worry about the shit no more. And Will was kind of shook, like, he's trying to use his brain. What the fuck just happened? All of a sudden, Rashad is dead out of nowhere. So I was like, damn, this is how they end episode. Now, this is what I'm saying. At first episode, it kind of threw me off. I was like, damn, this shit kind of corny. This shit, whatever. I'm going to give it a chance. Second episode, I was like, man, this nigga Carlton pissing me off. Third episode, I was like, all right, cool. You know, this is all right. Fourth episode, by the end of it, I said, oh, shit. Now, I got to watch episode 5 to see what happens. So now we get to episode 5, the one that they aired last night. Will's friend, Ty, comes to visit. Or not Ty, Trey. I've been saying Ty this whole time, haven't I? I meant to say Trey. I meant to say Trey. I've been getting Vi and Viv and Ty and Trey mixed up. It's not Ty, it's Trey. All right. Excuse my highness. All right. Jeez. Now, Trey comes to visit. Dwayne Martin. Matter of fact, this is hilarious because Dwayne Martin has a role on the show too. Jeffrey the Equalizer. Dwayne. Everybody knows who Dwayne Martin is. He's married to Tisha Nicole Campbell, and you know he's been in movies like Above the Rim and shit like that, and different sitcoms. He's also one of Will Smith's best friends, and people always make fun of that. But I'm glad he got a role, a part of some shit that Will was doing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to that. He plays Uncle Phil's campaign manager in the show. Aunt Viv and Will's mom bump heads after the idea of Will staying in Bel Air for good comes up. Now, she FaceTimed Will's mom, Vi, to let her know that Will has a lot of opportunities out there, and kind of insinuating that Will should stay out there. And you know, Vi, she didn't like that. Which the original Fresh Prince, y'all know that there was an episode where Vi wanted Will to come back home, and Will didn't really want to come back home, and there was a friction between Aunt Viv and Will's mom because of that. So they had a little friction on the phone. You know, it was whatever. But Vi thinks Viv wants to step on her toes and take her place as Will's guardian, but Viv honestly wants the best for Will. She realizes that Philly isn't really necessarily the place for somebody to want to come up and succeed, because just that quickly, when Will was doing great, something horrible happened in just one night, in a split second, a split minute. Sorry, I'm gonna eat some of these edibles. Skittles. Edible Skittles. Yeah. Let me eat some of those. Now, Trey had the idea that Will was going to come back to Philly. But Will got too much of a taste of the sweet life. And when you go from having nothing to basically having everything, it's going to be hard for you to want to go back to nothing. Now, there's a mentality that certain people have that when one person comes up, that means you're definitely getting pulled down. That there's no hope for you. That you can't try to succeed yourself. No matter how that person got it, whether if it was easy or if they got it the hard way. Some people look at your success as a downfall instead of being happy for you, genuinely happy for you, because that's what a real friend or a real loved one would want for you. That wasn't the case for Trey. Now, they threw a party for Hillary full of influencers. It was wild, whatever. Trey ends up getting drunk and telling Carlton the real reason why Will is in Bel Air. He basically lets Carlton know that Uncle Phil did some illegal shit to get Will out of jail. Carlton at this point feels betrayed because he's Mr. Goody Two Shoes, like he just wasn't doing a bump 15 minutes before the goddamn party. But it's really just because he doesn't like Will. Then the conversation turns to Ashley. This is what I said. We're going to come back to this. Ashley's having a conversation now. In this show right now, Ashley is 12. Ashley's having a conversation with a random grown woman about sexuality and what it means. I get it. But how did we get to the point where Ashley was gay now? Whatever. I'll roll with it. Carlton confronts Uncle Phil about doing illegal things to get Will out of jail. His own family. He heard his dad say that this would have ruined Will's life, but all he cared about was the fact that his dad did something illegal to get Will out of jail. So now they're at risk because this unhinged cokehead is now mad that his dad helped Will, his own family, his own cousin. So Uncle Phil's like, yo, we gotta, you have to keep that on the hush. Carlton goes in the room to talk to Will. Tells Will he knows everything. Tells Will to stay away from him, his people at school, and stay the fuck away from Lisa. Or else he'll snitch. Not realizing that he'll get the whole family fucked up. What happens when your dad goes to prison for doing illegal shit to help his nephew out of jail? What happens when your dad goes to prison, Carlton? Your life is over too. Stupid motherfucker. He never understood that. Now, D Smoke, if anybody knows of rapper D Smoke, he made a cameo in the show. Will and Trey and Uncle Phil go to a D Smoke concert where Phil runs into a police officer that was at his function who didn't take kindly to the police rhetoric that he was giving to the people. And they basically threatened Uncle Phil and let him know, if you keep talking that anti-police rhetoric, something gonna happen behind it. Uncle Phil said, what's gonna happen behind it? They didn't let him know, but he said he stood his ground like Uncle Phil really would have. They seen him as a threat. So now, Aunt Viv, now this is the part that was funny. Aunt Viv now, she got recommended by one of her friends to go meet with this art gallery director or whoever the guy was, right? Michael Ealy, nigga. Fucking Michael Ealy, the light-skinned bandit. She went to an art gallery, and it was Michael Ealy. And as soon as I seen that motherfucker, I knew he was gonna try to smash Aunt Viv. I could see it in his eyes. That nigga was, boy, if y'all see this shit, y'all gonna know exactly what I mean. And sure enough, he was pressing up on Aunt Viv. Now, if they make Aunt Viv cheat on Uncle Phil in this series, I promise you that will be the end of my watching days of this motherfucking series. Because it didn't happen on The Fresh Prince. And it sure as fuck is not going to happen in this new version. We are going to stick to black love, and we going to stick to the strength of Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv wasn't weak like that. She wasn't no weak ass motherfucker. She stood strong by her man. Aunt Viv was not that type of woman. So I'm not going for it. I'm telling you, listen here, directors of Bel Air. If y'all do some bullshit like that, I am going to protest again. I'm going to boycott the shit out of this show. Now, Ashley sits down with Hillary to tell her that she likes girls. What I appreciate about what they did in her situation was they didn't just have Ashley be like, oh, I like girls. They had her thinking like a 12-year-old. And what I mean by that is she was still in a she admitted like she's confused. She's trying to figure it out. Does she like only girls? Does she like guys? Does she like both? They're letting her figure it out. She's trying to talk to people about it to try to get guidance about it instead of trying to figure it out through the internet. So I guess we can appreciate that much of it. Now, Will and Trey get into it at the D-Smoke concert because his friend still has the ignorant hood mentality, thinking another person's come up is his downfall. When he realized Will wasn't trying to come back to Philly, he got mad and basically made it about the fact that, oh, you just gonna be over here living good and telling me about it while I'm struggling in Philly. No, motherfucking get up and do something about yourself. Don't blame me for what I have, for what I'm being blessed. I can't control what I'm being blessed with. People want to shatter your blessings. You have to watch for them, and it doesn't matter who it is. This is a person that Will grew up with from the sandbox. But see, the problem is they've only been around one environment, so they're only used to one environment, so they act the same. When somebody gets outside of that environment that they're used to, they're going to get a different outlook on life. Not the same as you. It's going to be different. And you will see who really gives a fuck about you when this person, how they react to your success or your blessings. If you get a blessing, you garnish some success and this person isn't happy for you, genuinely happy for you, and they don't want to see you succeed, you have to let them go out of your life immediately. Straight up. Give me some more edibles on that note. Shit. These are good, man. Now, the fight carries over in the house where they get into a fight. Trey ends up leaving Bel Air in tears. He doesn't see a world past Philly, West Philadelphia to be exact. And I think that played on the minds. They wanted to pinpoint the mindset of a young black male stuck in a certain mentality, specifically the hood mentality. You're supposed to see a life outside of where you're at, where you're used to. But some people don't. And what can you do about that? They have to change on their own. Now, Uncle Phil now has a smear campaign going up against him. It's propaganda on the TV now after he made his strong standpoint against the chief of police and whoever else was there. I think it was like some other important government official. They now started playing commercials saying that Uncle Phil was anti-police, basically making him look like Antifa. But Uncle Phil still didn't back down. Uncle Phil still did not back down. Now, this is the part that ends episode 5. Will makes the call every parent is never prepared for, and that's the one where they are ready to leave the nest. Especially for a mother and son type of dynamic, single mothers specifically. But it's important for young men to step into manhood in single mother environments. Will's already gone. He's already getting a taste of what it's like to be on his own. Even though he's still around family, he still is trying to become his own man. And he had to let his mother know this is a better opportunity for him. And he could see a future outside of West Philly. And I like that mentality that they're displaying, because we need more of that type of thinking, not just with the young black males, but all black people, period. There's a life outside of where our comfort zone is. Now, like I said, at first, I was like, yo, this shit is kind of corny. This shit is weird. But as I continued to watch, I understood the dynamic. I understood the direction they were trying to go. And I can honestly say that Bel Air is becoming a good series to watch. Now, if you don't have Peacock, that's the only way you can watch it. But if you want to watch the series and give it a chance, and you heard what I just talked about, heard this review, and you want to watch it, or you know what I'm saying, you watched a little bit and didn't think you wanted to keep watching, well, I hope you continue to watch, and I hope you continue to support, because this is actually turning out to be good. I like the actors in the show. I like what message they're trying to portray. I like the fact that they can revamp a sitcom that we love and make it into a drama. You know, like I said, when you go in to watch it, go in watching it as someone who isn't thinking about the sitcom, but thinking about a drama, and watch it for what it is. Shout out to every actor on the show. Shout out to, the people that created it. This was created off of a fan-made trailer. Please understand how huge that is. Fans of the show, some young people just made a trailer just to make it about a drama of the version of Fresh Prince. And it got seen by Will in a big production company. And it turned itself into an actual series. And got picked up for 2 seasons off the bat. That's very rare in this business for somebody to pick you up for 2 seasons. So I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. I hope they continue to do it justice. I hope Carlton gets off the booger sugar. You know what I'm saying? So if you enjoy the show, man, let me know. Let me know. If you enjoy the show, let me know. Also, do me a huge favor, man. If you did not participate in the chat, now is your time. Put a GMS in the chat. I'm going to shout you out. Follow me on all my socials. I follow everybody back. Hit the Cash App today if you enjoyed today's review. Make sure you leave a comment at the end of this video when the live is done. Help GMS get out the shadow realms, baby. I'm going to eat all these edibles. I'm going to eat all these edibles. Yeah. I'm going to eat all these edibles. Yeah. Skittles. Sour Skittles. Sour Skittles. Shout out Arius Baby G, Brim Dog, JR Miller, Train 979. Don't forget to pull up to the 3Gs podcast tonight at 8 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. Toke Chance Podcast, Glittery Bubbles. Oh shit. I got 3Gs tonight. Fuck. I can't be eating these edibles. Fuck. Well, I'm already starting to eat them, motherfucker. Let's see how this go. Shit. Sorry, AP. I forgot. Damn. Fuck. That's 3 hours away. Brandy in the building. Theodora NYC in the building. Oh, man. I fucked up, y'all. I done took these edibles, and I still got to do a show tonight. Fuck. What am I going to do? The difference between Twitch and YouTube is that one is Twitch and one is YouTube. man. I'm probably gonna be fucked up for this show. And we gonna be talking about Russia and Ukraine. Oh, hell yeah. He said 1G tonight. He said, don't worry, AP sniffed that out a long time ago. That's hilarious. That was a dope review today, man. GMS fam, the green room, I appreciate y'all so much. Like I said, if you want to help out and support the GMS show, hit that like button on the way out. Leave a comment under this video as soon as the live is over. Appreciate y'all. He needs some milk. And I'm about to smoke a joint too. I'm about to be out of here. I'm about to be out of here. See y'all niggas at 8, 3 G's. We out.